My name is Heidi Petschauer Fox. I'm the president of Petschauer Insurance, and we are a family-owned independent insurance brokerage, and we've been insuring your families, your personal lives, your businesses since 1957, and I see a lot of familiar faces, so that's nice, thank you. I'm here along with my business partner, Erwin Petschauer, and some of our dedicated staff. We're the only ones with the name tags on, so make sure you come and introduce yourselves to us at the end of this seminar. I am so thrilled to be the first presenter, as my company is one of 3 participants in today's seminar. And the purpose of this seminar is to offer you clear understanding of what seniors are facing today by the mere fact of them living longer, and they require more assets to fund their care. So if you're a senior or if you're a concerned child with senior parents, we're going to be sharing some really important information with you today. The formal name of our seminar is What Seniors Don't Know Can Bankrupt Them. How do you protect the assets of aging and incapacitated persons? So I am very happy because I get to introduce our speakers tonight. So our first speaker tonight gives me great pleasure to present to you Robert Kurre, attorney at law. He is a partner at Kurre, LEVY, and SCHNEPS, LLP, and it's an elder law estate planning firm that's located in Manhasset. He is one of 400 attorneys in the entire United States who has met the stringent requirements of being certified as an elder law attorney. He has received the highest possible rating for an attorney in legal ability and the ethical standards from Martindale-Hubbell, which for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they're the top attorney rating organization. Rob is a member of the executive committee of the elder law section of the New York State Bar Association and serves as co-chair of its estate, trust, and tax planning committee. In 2013, he was named for the 6th time as New York Super Lawyer, as published in the New York Times. And in 2014, Rob was also named as one of the top attorneys by 2 major publications. He is also a published author himself, and he speaks frequently on elder law and estate planning. So, as you can hear, not only does Robert really know his stuff, but he's very passionate about what he does. So, in addition, he's also a longtime client, so that makes him extra special. So without further delay, let's welcome Rob Kurre, and let's get started.
Okay, can you hear me in the back of the room?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. As Heidi said, my name is Robert Kurre, and I'm an elder law and estate planning attorney. I've been practicing law for 24 years, and I hope to share some very important information with you tonight. Back in 2006, a gentleman by the name of Timothy Bowers walked into a bank in Columbus, Ohio, and handed the teller a note saying he was robbing the bank. And the teller handed him 4 $20 bills. And as he exited the bank, he stopped and he handed the money to the bank security guard. And he said, "I'm going to wait here for the police to come and arrest me." So the police came and arrested him. And he went to court in front of the judge, and the judge said, "Why the heck did you do that?" And he said, "I'm 62 years old, I have medical issues, and I only get Medicare when I'm 65, and I need you to put me away for 3 years, Judge." And the judge did that. The judge put him away for 3 years. So why do I tell you this story? I don't tell you this story to suggest that you go rob a bank, but I tell you to emphasize the point that it's a very important thing to understand how our healthcare system works. And unlike Mr. Bowers, as crazy as his idea was, many of us do not truly understand how the healthcare system works. And because of that, we end up losing a lot of money, and we have a lot of stress and anxiety because we don't know how to manage the system. So we're going to talk tonight about what you need to do. Now, the first thing you need to know is that our healthcare system discriminates based on the type of illness that you may come down with. So if you come down with cancer, you come down, you need a hip or knee replacement, or you need bypass surgery, consider yourself lucky in the sense that you've come down with the right disease. And Medicare, if you're over the age of 65, will foot almost the entire bill, subject to certain copays and deductibles. But now, if you spin the wheel and you come up with the wrong disease, Medicare will pay little to nothing, and you're out on your own, and that's how people oftentimes end up in bankruptcy because of this. So what are those wrong diseases? The wrong diseases include Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and other types of debilitating conditions. For example, someone suffers a stroke and they can't perform their activities of daily living anymore. Those type of illnesses, if you're unfortunate enough to come down with them, you're basically out on your own. And you have to deal with this head on. And we're going to talk about planning that you can deal with or engage in order to protect yourself if you come down with this wrong type of disease. Now, kind of a natural cycle that people encounter is they graduate from school, they get a job, maybe they get married, they then support their family, they work for decades, many times under difficult conditions, difficult commutes, perhaps difficult bosses. They work for decades to save some money, support their family, trying to earn an honest living, trying to put some money aside for retirement, but that can all be wiped out. And I see it every day in my practice, where all those things are wiped out if the person comes down with the wrong disease and they end up needing a lot of care, including a nursing home. So again, this is something that really has to be dealt with, and you really need to be proactive about it. Okay, so when we're talking about long-term care planning, it really falls into two main issues. The two primary issues: how is it going to be paid for? And we're going to take a look at how much exactly this type of care costs. And the second decision is the second factor is who will make decisions for you. And what it comes down to with that is, do you want a trusted family member or friend, whoever you wish to make decisions for you if you can't do it yourself? You want to make sure that that person is going to be in line and have legal authority to act on your behalf. If you don't have that, then guess what? A judge, a guardian, somebody else may make decisions for you. Someone who never met you, someone who doesn't care about you the same way a family member does, and someone who may be very quick to put you into a nursing home and not worry about home care or other things that would have been something you would have preferred. So those are the two issues we're going to be looking at, both extremely important. Now, when we're talking about protecting your assets so that your home, your life savings will not be bankrupted by illness, this is such a huge gap in people's estate plans. People have life insurance, they have insurance on their house, they name guardians for their children, but when it comes to protecting their home and their life savings in the event they get sick, it's just such a huge gap. And actually, the Associated Press just did a survey. This just came out last week. And the survey is regarding how prepared Americans are for long-term care. Obviously, this problem is becoming more and more pronounced with people living longer. And the conclusion from the article was that, and I quote, "Americans are seriously unprepared for long-term care," according to this survey. Interestingly enough, it said that approximately 50% of all Americans over the age of 40 believe that almost everyone is likely to need long-term care in the future. And by long-term care, I'm talking about nursing home, assisted living, home care. So 50% of all Americans over the age of 40 believe almost everyone will need long-term care as they age, but only 25% think it'll happen to them. Okay, so everybody thinks the neighbor on the right might get Alzheimer's, the neighbor on the left may get Parkinson's, the guy across the street might have a stroke and end up in a nursing home, but they think it's not going to happen to me. But guess what? That's not what the statistics support. So what exactly are the financial risks associated with the potential of needing a nursing home or needing other types of long-term care? I want to compare it to other risks. Okay. There is a less than 1% chance that your home will be destroyed by fire. Less than 1%, 1 in 1,200. There is also less than 1% chance, 1 in 240, that you'll be involved in a lawsuit because of a car accident that you get into. Okay? But again, most people have insurance on their home and they have insurance on their car. Insurance on your car is required by law. 70% chance that a person over the age of 65 will need an average of 3 years of nursing home or other long-term care. 70% chance. This is not a statistic that I made up. This is straight from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Okay? I want to repeat it. It's so important. There is a 70% chance, 7 out of 10 people will need 3 years of nursing home or other long-term care. So that means if we have 30 people in this room, 21 of us will need this type of care in the future. Okay, so as you can see, this is not something along the lines of getting struck by lightning. This is something that is affecting every family. So how much does this type of care cost? Nursing homes in this part of the country cost $10,000 to $15,000 per month. That's right, per month, not per year. The average stay in a nursing home is 2.5 years, which is 30 months. For Alzheimer's patients, the average stay in a nursing home goes up to 8 years. Now, if you do the math, $10,000 to $15,000 a month, come up with, or figure out a way to get paid to the nursing home. Home care averages $15 to $25 an hour. If you need a lot of help at home, the monthly cost can exceed that of a nurse if you require nursing home, if you require 24/7 care at home. If you need a nurse to come into the house, that's even more expensive, okay? Assisted living facilities, they average $4,000 to $8,000 a month. So you can see, these are tremendous, tremendous costs. So once you turn 65, most people qualify for Medicare. Medicare is the government benefit program for seniors, the primary health insurance for seniors. And studies have shown, including this recent Associated Press poll, that almost half of all seniors think that Medicare is going to be there to pay for their nursing home or to pay for assisted living or home care. But Medicare pays little to nothing for that type of care. Medicare pays for what's called skilled care. It does not pay for custodial care. And to have even 1 day in a nursing home covered, you have to meet 3 conditions. Those conditions are, first you have to be hospitalized for at least 3 days. Then you have to go from the hospital to the rehab within 30 days of your discharge from the hospital. And then you have to be getting, again, what's called skilled care, which means you're getting some type of rehab or therapy in the nursing home. So many people don't meet those conditions and don't even qualify for Medicare to pay 1 day in a nursing home. For example, people that have Alzheimer's oftentimes do not need rehabilitation or therapy, they just need custodial care. So those people don't get even their first day in a nursing home covered. Okay? So even if you get it covered, the maximum that you'll ever get is 100 days of coverage. That is the maximum, the best case scenario that Medicare will cover you. So even if you get that maximum, after 100 days, which is a little more than 3 months, you're out on your own. So again, conclusion is not a solution for long-term care. Okay, so how are nursing homes commonly paid for? Generally, it falls into 4 categories. Long-term care is financed by either private payment, Medicaid, veterans benefits, long-term care insurance. Now, private pay is a situation where you have substantial enough assets that you can easily afford $10,000 to $15,000 a month, and you're willing to absorb that cost. So if someone's a multimillionaire and they can easily afford $10,000 to $15,000 a month, you may not have to worry about it so much. Okay, but most of us don't fall into that category. Medicaid, and we're going to take a closer look at this in a couple of slides, it's the only government benefit program that pays for long-term custodial care in a nursing home. Again, Medicare, maximum of 100 days. Medicaid can pay the rest of your life in a nursing home if you're properly structured. Veterans benefits, if you're a veteran and you you were honorably discharged, you may be entitled to certain benefits, and we have a slide on that I'm going to discuss that. And then long-term care insurance, we have Rich Montenegro here today. Rich is going to talk a little bit later about long-term care insurance. Okay. So Medicaid, again, the only government benefit program that will potentially pay for permanent nursing home or other long-term care. The government will not educate you about it. They will not send you a letter explaining it. It's the type of thing you have to take the initiative yourself. It's legally used by the middle class to pay for nursing home or home care. And the reason for that is how many people can absorb $10,000 to $15,000 a month out of their personal assets? Very few. If you're going to be doing what's called Medicaid planning, and for this, what we generally mean is people that do not have a meaningful long-term care insurance policy, or they're not a veteran who qualifies for significant benefits, it's very important to get what's called the look-back period ticking. For nursing home Medicaid is what's called a 5-year look-back period, which means if you transfer assets within 5 years of going into a nursing home, you may not be eligible for Medicaid for up to 5 years. But I can tell you that there's all types of exceptions, and there's exceptions to the exceptions. There's very complex rules involved. So the general thing that I want you to know from tonight, though, is if you don't have long-term care insurance, you most likely will be relying on Medicaid or try to get Medicaid to foot the bill if you or a loved one needs a nursing home. And since that would be a likely scenario for many people, you don't want to wait until a crisis develops. You want to be planning in advance because of that 5-year look-back period. You also have to consider the tax implications of transferring assets to qualify for Medicaid. And I'll give you an example. A lady named, let's call her Mary. She bought a house in 1960 for $10,000. She was getting older, and she was frail, and she was suffering from some debilitating illnesses. So she said, I'm going to transfer the house out of my name to my daughter. It seems like the right thing to do. Someone told me, don't keep assets in your name. I'm going to transfer it out of my name, put it in my daughter's name. Okay? The house was now worth $500,000 many years later. Mary subsequently died. The daughter had received the house from Mary by a lifetime gift before Mary died. So the daughter didn't want to keep the house. She goes to sell the house. The house was worth $500,000. Mary had paid $10,000 for it. That was a gain of $490,000. So when Mary sold the house, she had a gain of $490,000, and capital gains tax between federal and state is about 20%. So she ended up paying $98,000 in tax that could have been avoided. I point this out because people think that if they just do a deed or they just transfer assets, they're going to be in a good situation. But again, you have to carefully consider the tax implications. If Mary had spoken to a seasoned elder law attorney, she would have known that just putting the house in her daughter's name was not a good idea, and that there's other options that are much better from a tax perspective as well as a Medicaid perspective. And those options typically include putting the house into what's called an irrevocable trust, or transferring the house to a child and reserving what's called a life estate. So those would have been better options for her. I do want to discuss Medicaid home care. Medicaid has a very good program in New York for an aide to come into the house and assist people with their activities of daily living, which again are eating, bathing, dressing, toileting, and transferring. Matter of fact, Medicaid in New York has the best program in the country, and you can actually qualify under the right situation for 24/7 care for an aide in the house. But this is not the type of thing where you just show up and you knock on the door and you get it. You have to be set up or structured the right way, and you have to plan properly. Okay? Other states, you can't even get an aide in the house paid for by the government, or if you can, the most they'll give you is maybe 4 to 6 hours a day, or they put you on a waiting list for a couple of years, and by the time your name comes up, you might not even be around anymore. But New York is very good for home care. Okay? People say to me, well, I have a lot of income, I I have Social Security, a pension, 401k, IRA distributions, can I still qualify for Medicaid home care? And the answer is yes, because there's a concept called a pooled trust. And what you can do is, you can put excess income into this trust, regardless of how much income you have, and you can still qualify to have an aid come into the house, okay? So takeaway from this is Medicaid home care is something that meets many people's goals in staying home. Because there's no one who comes into my office and says, if I decline in the future, I want to go into a nursing home. No, everyone says, I want to stay at home and I want to be carried out feet first from my home. Don't ever put me in a nursing home, okay? Medicaid home care, you have to also be careful because there's something called estate recovery, which basically means you can have an aide come into your house and take care of you and have it paid for through Medicaid. The house is exempt when you're living there or your spouse is living there, but when you pass away or your spouse leaves the house for any reason, Medicaid acquires additional rights. It's called estate recovery. And they could then have a lien against the house. That can be avoided with proper planning. But many people who don't deal with a professional don't realize that Medicaid can come back and grab assets later on. So it really has to be planned properly. Okay, veterans benefits. For veterans who have what's called a service-connected disability, which is an injury or illness sustained while they were in the armed forces, the Veterans Administration, actually now it's known as the Department of Veterans Affairs, is generally very good. If you have someone who goes into a